Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Hi, this is Erica Schultz, and you are listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
I don't know how to introduce this one. This is too big for any funny line. That's right, kids. Welcome back to another episode of Marvel Tales. Oh, that music. All right. That's right. I said it's a big one because it's part one of the Avengers JLA crossover. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, here it is
Justin the Owl. Be back in.
And our special guest, Mr. Will Allred.
Hi, I'm Will.
Big fan of Marvel, DC, and, of course, #1 Hal Jordan fanboy.
Yes.
If you can't tell by...
You know what? This could have used more Quasar, too.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Way too little Quasar in this film.
If you couldn't tell, Will's loves from the multiple Hal Jordan Funkos behind him, the 5 different versions of Green Lantern Rebirth behind you, the 3D print, the 3D printed lantern. Yes. I'm sorry.
It's difficult to see where my loyalties lie, right?
I'm surprised Otis isn't wearing a Hal Jordan costume.
Who says he isn't?
That's a different picture.
All right, so I think we need to jump right into this because there is a lot. I mean,
there's a lot going on here.
Story, Easter eggs.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I found one big synopsis, so I figure I'll read the first half here, and then once we jump over to Sector 214, I'll read the other half. But then we could kind of pick after that because, like I said, there's a lot of characters in here. This was. Oh, yeah, September. Oh, wait. September. Did they skip a month or something? Because they're saying JLA Avengers 1 is September 2003 and number 4 was February 2004. September, October, November, December, January.
I'm not sure.
So within 6 months, we got 4 issues, so.
Maybe they did release them.
Or was it every other month or something? Or
maybe every other month, yeah.
I forget. I was buying this, but at the time.
Yeah, because I got this when it came out in trade paperback after it was all completed, so I don't remember the monthly.
Yeah, I did get them monthly.
Yeah.
Hey, kids, you got your money's worth back then, man. $5.95 an issue. All right, so here's your synopsis for 1 and 2, and we'll nitpick through this. All right. Krona, an exiled Owen villain from this universe who has gained the powers of entropy, begins destroying entire universes in his obsession to find out how they are created. That would be right there. That sentence would be 3 issues of a Bendis series.
Easily.
The Grandmaster, an alien from another universe who is obsessed with games, offers to give Krona the knowledge he seeks, but only if he can beat him in a game. The game consists of forcing the Justice League of America and their heroic counterparts, the Avengers, from that universe's Earth to battle each other in a race to find 12 items of incredible power that have been hidden around their worlds. With help from Metron, the heroes are tricked into participating. Krona is given the side of the Avengers, and the Grandmaster is given the side of the JLA. Before the contest starts, both teams confront an enemy not of their own universe. The League defeats Terminus in Keystone City as the Avengers defeat Starro in New York City. The Spectre banishes Terminus to his home universe, and Starro flees into space in fear, confusion, and horror after probing the Scarlet Witch's chaos magic. No more starfish, kids. Alright, the Grandmaster appears at the JLA lunar base and shows them the 12 items of power needed to win, stating they need them to save the universe from doom. Kal Rayner's Green Lantern power battery, the Orb of Ra, the Book of Eternity, the ritualistic items of the Demons 3, the Spear of Destiny, the Psycho Pirate's Medusa mask, and 6 mysterious items from another universe. Flash manages to travel to Earth 616 by following the signatures from a piece of Terminus's armor, although he loses his speed there as no speed force exists there. Pummeled by an anti-mutant mob, he eventually loses the energies necessary to remain in that Earth and returns to his home universe. Later, though, he is able to help send the Justice League to that Earth to help to recover the artifacts. Superman starts being affected by that Earth, stating it is a disgrace how heroes have allowed it to fall in that state. Though after some bickering, the League locates the first artifact on Monster Island, the Ultimate Nullifier. The Avengers intervene with a dimensional disruptor, sending the League to their own universe, but Wonder Woman manages to grab the Nullifier just before they vanish. Then, the Vision notes they are being observed. Hurrying into a cave, they find the new god Metron. Metron goads them into participating against the League and reveals the 6 artifacts from the Earth 616, the already lost Nullifier, the Evil Eye of Avalon, the Infinity Gems, the Cosmic Cube, the Casket of Ancient Winners, and the Wand of Watum. The Avengers receive a mother box from Metron, which summons a boom tube to Metropolis. They confront the League there. Captain America is affected himself, stating how it is horrible how the League and superheroes in general have asserted themselves as gods ruling over a fascist world just before the League intercepts them. After an all-out battle royale, they return to their universe, but without Captain America, who has sneaked away with... Who, kids?
Batman. My favorite character.
I think that's the most popular drop among all my hosts or co-hosts, except for one.
Into the Dark Knight, all to do with Batman.
Chance never zero, Ray. All right. Oh yeah, she's probably sleeping or drunk, but yeah, Lil could be lurking at any moment, so keep an eye on. With Batman, who from the Batcave start researching Metron and the Grandmaster, Krona's involvement being unknown to them until that point. As they realize the futility of continuing their fight while allowing the others to play out the events so as not to arouse the Grandmaster's suspicions or those of whoever is involved with him. Meanwhile, the Martian Manhunter sends out a telepathic signal to several reservists and past members to aid in the protection of the artifact already in their universe. A battle royale starts to retrieve the items. The first item the League loses is the power battery, as the Mother Box allows Iron Man to defeat Flash with ease, and he and Hawkeye retrieve it from Cal's apartment in New York City. In Santa Rico, Superman and Green Lantern defeat Wonder Man. I thought I said Wonder Woman for a second. I'm like, wait, that makes no sense. Wonder Man and Miss Marvel, that's right, for the Orb of Ra. While in the Flash Museum, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver find the Wand of Watum after defeating Hawkman, Blue Beetle, and Black Canary. Wonder Woman, who bested Hercules in combat, and Aquaman, who had managed to elude She-Hulk, gained possession of the Book of Eternity in Asgard, while Firestorm and Red Tornado snatched the Wheel of Nyarlathotep and the Red Jar of Calathos and the Green Bell of Uthal from under Thor and Vision's nose in Happy Harbor. In Wakanda, Black Panther seizes the Medusa mask while observing the Martian Manhunter incapacitate Yellow Jacket and the Wasp as Plastic Man helm them off. Jeez. Anyone dizzy yet? In the meantime, Hawkeye and Iron Man find the Casket of Ancient Winners in Smallville after easily defeating Captain Atom and Green Arrow. Themyscira watches as the Flash takes away the Evil Eye away from Quicksilver during a battle between Steel and Vision, and in the blue area of the moon, Iron Man helps Photon and Quasar seize the Spear of Destiny by defeating Wonder Woman and Green Lantern. Well, Quasar beat Green Lantern. Our kids are fighting. He's like, we're all winners there.
We all won.
Yes.
We all won.
That's right.
Meanwhile,
Batman. My favorite character.
and Captain America use a time bike modified by the Fantastic Four's Mr. Fantastic and brought to them by the Thing to reach the ruins of one of the countless universes Krona had already destroyed, following Metron's trail. They reach the Grandmaster's lair and meet with the Atom. Atom replays in one of the consoles a recording of Endwa Gas deal with Krona, discovering the latter's involvement, and Captain America is shocked to learn the Avengers are actually and unknowingly fighting on Krona's side, while the Grandmaster's game is intended to hold them at bay. Everyone is left horrified as in Apocalypse, Darkseid has seized the Infinity Gems, but casually discards them as they are worthless in his reality. Flash manages to recover them before the Omega Beams destroy them. All members of both teams are reunited at the Savage Land with only one item left, the Cosmic Cube. Another all-out battle starts with each team. Batman and Captain America intervene, removing the cube from Quicksilver's grasp, so the game ends with a 7-5 victory for the JLA. But Cronin refuses to accept this and uses his power to steal the knowledge directly from the Grandmaster's mind. This is used to summon and attack the carrier of what Cronus seeks, Galactus! In turn, the Grandmaster uses the power of the 12 artifacts to merge the two universes, trapping Krona at its center. Someone else talk now.
There's so much good stuff in here.
I know.
At the very beginning, I was going back through and the classic scene from, of course, Green Lantern, right? Because Krona is the one you see, and then from Crisis, you see the hand, birthing the universe. And then that hand is Eternity, which is just such a really cool combination of both of the universes. I mean, it's
so clever. Yeah.
Speaking of like the beginning of the first issue, I don't know if it's like a callback to Crisis or not, but it's like, first we see like Akron and Thundra get taken out, but it's like then we see the Crime Syndicate get taken out. Weren't they like the first ones taken out in Crisis? I'm like, is that a callback?
Yeah, I think we're
also drawn by George Perez.
Yeah, I think we're definitely having a callback to that. So yeah,
and just the fact that Krona returned, because he was such a focal point of the start of Crisis, really. Was everything.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that stretches all the way back to first series Green Lantern number 40, where you get the introduction of Krona and the two universes and all that fun stuff, which is a great classic issue. And who doesn't love to see Terminus? I mean, come on. Don't you like Terminus as a villain?
Yes, absolutely. Terminus is not used enough, I feel. I love that the Justice League faced Terminus. Yeah, of all the Marvel villains to face, it's perfect.
And even just like the Avengers versus Starro, just like, a bunch of them, including Thor with that starfish on his face.
Yeah,
and She-Hulk.
Yes.
She-Hulk lifting up Warbird over her head. Oh, so good. And just that image of Starro massively looming overhead, just over all of them. It was so good.
And once again, we say it over and over, but it bears repeating. I mean, again, with another artist, this could go horribly wrong, but George Perez makes it work and work well.
To be honest with you, I can't really picture another artist pulling this off. I was trying to think about it earlier, of ones that we know now, like contemporary artists that have come about in the last 20 years. I can't picture anybody else doing this, or at least doing it to this extent of
kind of very much a student of Perez is Phil Jimenez.
Yes.
But I don't know that he can, because these pages are just so dense. We're talking 8 or 9 panels per page, and it doesn't feel like it's cramped.
Nothing feels cramped here. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Especially when you're squeezing like so many characters in each panel too, and it doesn't seem crowded at all.
You would think at some point it would feel claustrophobic, like, okay, they're just trying to put characters in here because we need to put this character in here. But no, it never felt like that at all to me in any of this.
Yeah, the least dense pages have at least like 6 or 7 panels for the most part. And then he'll go up to 7, 8, 9. Or more, just with all of the different things. Yeah, this is all. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Here's a 9-panel page, and it doesn't feel. Look at that. It doesn't feel like it's a 9. It's certainly not the 9-panel grid that everybody has come to love from Watchmen / Mr. Miracle / whatever.
Right.
I love that page you held up. Yeah, just the Watcher hanging outside the Justice League watchtower.
Casually glancing in. Yeah.
But yeah, just
the differences between the two worlds is really, I love how that's pointed out really well in these first couple.
Oh, you mean when Wally West shows up into the Marvel Universe, he's there for 5 seconds and already encounters like an anti-mutant
mutant horde
mob, yes.
And almost gets beaten to death.
And I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of, Ray's favorite character.
Batman, my favorite character.
But I really think the Batman Cap battle is just so well done.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
It is.
It's just awesome.
Yeah, it's probably my least favorite out of all of those one-on-one fights, and it's still good. It's still something I enjoy reading every time I read this, and it holds up really well.
but yeah, just so much like on that page when they're talking to Quasar. Just look who's causing trouble in the Shi'ar Empire. It's Lobo.
Yeah, it's Lobo.
Naturally,
We get Fin Fang Foom. When they go to the Savage Land, it looks like.
some of the mole man monsters, maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, again, there's so many Easter eggs because it's like, who is it? Oh yeah, we see Green Lantern hovering outside Doctor Doom's castle, and
Yeah.
Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter combing through the remains of Genosha, and
I thought it was clever too how they had Wonder Woman versus Hercules. That was nice. I really liked that. You are Hercules then? Just spoiler of Hippolyta?
We're gonna talk.
Wait, want to be careful how you answer that one, Hercules.
Well, and then the MacGuffins that they have to go after, the items are all really important items in Avengers lore and in JLA lore too. I mean, it's the Cosmic Cube, the Evil Eye, the Cask of Ancient Winners, the Soul Gems. Everybody wants the Infinity Gems. At that point.
Yeah. The Wand of Watum.
My question is, we did cover this in the Quantum Zone during Infinity War. It's like, who the hell wants the ultimate nullifier? Because whoever uses it usually gets killed. It nullifies themselves.
Except
good track record.
Except our buddy Quasar.
Well, kind of temporarily he was nullified, but yes. But yeah, just Superman flying over Michigan and just watching Hulk, just like.
Just eat a bunch of sausages.
Yes, lifted a big food truck over his head.
And the SmackDown I wanted to see that we really didn't see the end of is Batman and Plastic Man see Punisher gunning down a bunch of drug dealers, and then Plastic Man turns his head and Batman's in there like going after Punisher. I'm like, I want to see him beat Frank's ass.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to see that too. There were a lot of little teaser type things like that throughout this little series.
Well, and then we get the great ending of the first issue with a fully assembled JLA, fully assembled Avengers, finally coming together with and there's just some nice little touches. Plastic Man his hands are turned into guns, like revolvers. He stretched around this, double page splash, which is just, wonderful. And I know I mentioned it before. Certainly my least favorite Green Lantern outfit, right? But that's what we got. So that's what we got.
Oh yes, we've been talking about that currently. Yes, But yeah,
I did check September for issue 1. 2 and 3 both have kind of December in parentheses, so they came out. They may have come out, and then number 4 came out in May of the next year. So it was It was quite a bit
delayed.
Yeah, it was kind of. And let me double check that because I can get you the actual on sale dates too. On sale date for number 1 was September 4th of 2003, and then number 3 was November 26th. So, and then number 2, if I can get back to it, number 2 was October 22nd. So September, October, November, and then number 4 would have been March 31st. So it looks like the first 3 were fairly regular month to month, and then number 4 took a while longer to get out. According to the Grand Comics database.
Was Kurt and George, were they doing Avengers as well at this time? Or
I think I think Kurt was still writing it because he wrote it up till like issue 54, 55, 60, something like that.
Something.
But Perez left, and Alan Davis came on for a few issues. Was that like in the late 20s, I think? I'd have to double check that, but
that's right. It was Alan Davis, and then a couple of other people. Yeah, okay.
And then Kieran Dwyer came on for the big Kang Dynasty arc.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, don't say that for clicks and views. Kang Dynasty, Kang Dynasty, Kang Dynasty.
Get that algorithm working.
That's right.
I was trying to look up what George Perez was doing at this point. I just put in George Perez 2003, and all that's coming up is JLA Avengers.
It would make sense that he would take the whole year to do this. Such an immense project.
I mean, can you blame him? Let's look at this thing.
Yeah,
this is really like. I mean, it's a 4-issue series, but it's 48 pages, right? So per issue. So
they're
talking 2+ per issue. So it's probably close to 9 full issues of a series. And to be so densely, I mean, there's so much art.
Because when you think about it, probably the only thing that came close was like when he did 12 issues of Crisis, but he had a whole year to do that.
That's true.
Yeah. There was a huge lead up to that, too. So he was working on that exclusively.
Right.
But just the detail, like when the Avengers leap into Metropolis and run into 90s sad villain Loophole. Just like, even Hawkeye's face, just like, the welcome wagon. Look at that face.
Yeah. So good.
See,
I really like the lineup of the Avengers at this point.
Yes.
It's a nice classic line.
Yeah, then there's the great line with Thor fighting Superman. He says, "Sorry, disappoint, but in my world, it looks like the dials go up to 11."
Yeah.
Which is there's always been that power disparity. Marvel, for the most part, characters weren't as powerful as super. You look at the classic Silver Age Superman, who could do anything, right? Yeah. But the power levels in DC did seem to, and he's calling that out. They seem to be more powerful in DC. They're the archetypes, right? I mean, that's Superman, Batman. So it's.
And the funniest line at the end of issue 1, when the Avengers and JLA are facing off, and Hawkeye's just like, "They're wannabe Squadron Supreme."
Which is great.
It's fantastic.
And talk about dialing it up to 11 when Thor hits Superman with that hammer.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That splash page. Yeah.
Excellent.
Squadron Supreme wannabes.
It's like 5 gets you 10 in their mind control.
I also like the part towards the end when they're having that big final battle. Monica Rambeau and Kyle Rayner going up against each other.
Yes.
Monica says, "This time I'm ready for you." She starts draining the ring. I love that part.
Yeah.
Really nice. It's a nice little twist there.
It's basically
And then you got that really cool double-page spread. I guess it's at the beginning of number 2, maybe? Or at the end of number 1? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, they face each other like the Avengers are standing on that rooftop at the end of 1. But yeah, no, 2 is like when they're battling in the rain there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorites. I love that one. That's some classic.
That's the thing. Is George like challenging himself? It's like you could just like draw them with the city behind them battling. It's like, now let me add some rain and
Yeah.
This must just be like a poster or something, because it's between the two, white sheets for this thing right here.
Will's like, I got a poster. Oh yeah. That's like the wraparound cover for 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the cover for my trade paperback.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they probably can't. Neither side could probably sell like any of this art right now, right? Because you got to get the other side's permission and stuff, probably. And
I would imagine.
Well, I wonder when the last time they reprinted this was. Have they re-released this?
They did a limited version of the trade.
Yeah,
for what's the comic donation place where you can help out older comics creators?
Shoot.
I forget, but yeah, because they did it for George when he was.
They did it for George. They re-released this for him before he died, which was really awesome.
Shoot, I used to know the name of that foundation.
I just can't think of the name of it right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is so good. It's just like, again, that battle at the beginning of 2 and Flash taunting Hawkeye. He's like, okay, purple arrow.
Purple arrow, yeah.
Then Hawkeye tries to nail him with the boomerang arrow. He's like, nah, I'm good with boomerangs.
And then we get Hawkeye gets the best lines, right? In this, I mean, he just does. Dear God in heaven, that's the Infinity Gauntlet, and this guy, he looks worse than Thanos. He's talking about Darkseid. Who, is probably the inspiration for Thanos, but whatever.
Yeah. If we're being honest, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I also really liked the little short duel between Red Tornado and Vision, where Vision tries to phase into the Red Tornado. It's like, inside him, circuitry and something more, and then he gets blown away by this big tempest.
Yeah, isn't he an elemental? Like a wind elemental or something?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
At this point, I think that they had introduced those elements in the character. Yeah.
Oh my God! And then, yes, Iron Man and Hawkeye steal Kyle's battery out of his apartment.
Yeah.
The only other thing they could have added, Will, was Radu, standing there with a gun or something like you. To be putting that down.
Yeah. Wong and Doctor Strange live in that neighborhood.
Oh, I should have called that out. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't part of the Avengers yet, so they weren't in it. Also, I was surprised to see Yellow Jacket in this. I'd forgotten that Hank was using the Yellow Jacket costume.
That's right. And I think that was, I can't remember when, but there was a lot of really great Avengers stuff going. We had the Heroes Return with, Kurt Busiek and George Perez. We had Avengers Forever somewhere around in here going on. The 12-issue series with Carlos Pacheco on art.
Yeah.
We had this, and then this was a good time to be an Avengers fan. Really good time.
This brought me back to the fold for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these were great years.
I mean, you could tell just all the hard work, the blood and sweat poured into this. But again, it's like if you're like Kurt Busiek or George Perez, how fun is this thing? It's like, I'm just gonna have Ben Grimm show up in the Batcave.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna do. You know what? We're gonna just use everything. There's probably a kitchen sink somewhere in here that we're not seeing.
And we're gonna see Galactus get the crap kicked out of him at the end of this.
Which is not bad,
and this was before, everybody started laying waste to Galactus. Now it's kind of a cliched, trivial thing. Some massive threat will come along and put the boots to Galactus. But back then, at this point in time, it hadn't really been done a whole lot. So to see Krona laying into Galactus, just kind of snapping his fingers and calling him out of nowhere, and then beating him so savagely, wow. That escalated quickly.
Exactly.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Just Scarlet Witch freaking out on DC's chaos magic.
Yeah.
Getting all pale in the face. It's like, oh, Wanda, yikes.
Yeah, I mean, these, and I was joking with Phil earlier. DC published issues 1 and 3 as JLA Avengers. Marvel published issues 2 and 4 as Avengers JLA. So DC got the first issue, Marvel got the last issue. But I kept telling Phil that we need to do the Marvel issues on this podcast. So we need to do 2 and 4 on this podcast. We need to do 1 and 3 on that.
Fine, Will. We could have did 2 episodes of this on Sector 2814. That just would have pushed Green Lantern Rebirth back another week. Okay.
And Phil was like, "That's insane." I'm yes, it is.
Once again,
I bet nobody else has done that before.
Once again, in 2 weeks, do I want to get slapped across the face? No. Told you, it's like I have 2 wives. And again, at this point in time, it's like you see a little bit of Black Panther when they're in Wakanda, but if this was done today, you'd see a lot more Black Panther. It'd probably be him fighting Batman.
Yeah, he'd be a member of the team, of the main team.
Yeah.
Well, and we would this is very much of its time, so this is definitely early 2000s because the JLA is a certain feel to it, because I believe Morrison, had probably left by this point, and it was Wade writing at that point.
It might have been at this point, but I know eventually Kurt Busiek does start writing JLA. Yeah.
Yeah, because you make a really good point. At the end, there's a cosmic egg kind of thing, and that actually folds over into the JLA book. So,
that's when Kurtz was right.
Continuity.
Yeah. At least on the DC side, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Oh, there's Quasar putting Wonder Woman in a construct.
Oh yeah,
in issue 2, yeah. On the blue area of the moon, yeah.
George Perez drew a great Quasar, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the other advantage too. It's like George Perez has drawn all these all these characters before.
He has, definitely.
All of them. Yeah.
And we've got that's when Avengers were rebooted, we got the Morgan Le Fay version of the Avengers. So you had Star Knight, Iron Knight, and all of the different characters. And it was all of them had their own new designs that Perez did. So I mean, it is just beautiful.
Yeah, that was a great way to bring back the series.
Yeah, it was like most of the Avengers most people who've ever been in an Avenger, and George Perez redesigned all of them
like that and did it. Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I think this issue is like, the Infinity Gems didn't work in the DC universe. Like when they had Infinity Gems and drawers in the Loki series, they were just like, those don't work outside their universe. I'm like, yeah, they probably do work in alternate Marvel universes, but this is so far off the beaten track. We've already established here like the laws of physics and magic and everything are different between the Marvel and DC universe. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's amazing how I think Kurt Busiek played into that by saying, these are vastly different places, and they have ultimately different, kind of slightly different physical laws. I think he even says like the DC Earth is slightly larger.
Yes.
Than Marvel Earth. Yeah,
because they have more cities and stuff, and even different countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Because it's like, DC made up a bunch of fake cities and countries. No, Marvel's all the real world. Oh yeah, there's the scene at the end of 2. In my world, the dials go up to 11.
Yep.
And they'll dogpile on Superman after that.
Oh yeah, after he basically knocks out Thor. Yeah, and then Wonder Man, Vision, Hercules, She-Hulk all pile on Superman. Oh god, that one scene, and Iron Man. That one scene, you just see them just pounding on,
Yeah, they're wailing on him.
Mm-hmm. And then how about that? I mean, it's still a 4-panel page, but that splash of the Grandmaster and his stuff. It looks like he's got some Rock'em Sock'em robots there.
It's a game.
Yeah, but I mean, you see over on some dials, you see a Guardian, the Living Tribunal, Thanos. And then you see, Joker, Uncle Sam, Nick Fury in cars, and then you see some characters. There's Solomon Grundy, Deadman. I think that's Starfire down there. I mean, there's Raven. There's just so much, buried in there that you can just find. Oh, that's cool. I know what that is, and that's something, and that's something.
Yeah, I love it.
Those Rock'em Sock'em robots. At least one of them, is that a Celestial?
It looks like a Celestial. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I forget the name of that one.
But yeah, probably just George he's sneaking in extra characters and
Yeah. Little chess pieces that look like the Hulk and Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange. That's cool.
And then that showdown in the Savage Land.
Yeah,
I love that they picked the Savage Land for that showdown. That was great.
And then Kyle's ring starts running out of power. Kind of charges off of the cosmic cube.
Change color for a second.
Oh yeah, and then meanwhile Monica Rambeau's green, the green energy.
Mm-hmm.
Flash calls Carol Danvers the leather gal.
Leather gal,
but I think, man, it's Quicksilver was really feeling kind of demasculated this whole story. I swear half the time he's like, I don't need no crappy Speed Force. Especially here when he's telling Flash, you're on my Earth.
The only thing that I thought was a little bit weird was Kyle reciting the oath, because that's something that he's never Has he even done that in the book? I mean, we've gone from his first appearance up to, what are we at, 158, 160?
Yeah,
we're closing in there. Has he ever done that before?
I think he needed like a focus, so I think he was just like, oh, let me use Hal's. He even said it's Hal's oath. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You try sticking your hand in a cosmic cube, Will.
It'll turn me chrome colored.
Oh, I'm sorry, the
That's
Tesseract.
right.
I'm sorry, the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Tesseract. Yes, that's right.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at how savage Krona gets at the end here. He just starts blasting the hell out of the Grandmaster, and then immediately summons Galactus and puts the boots to him. And just he just goes absolutely insane. I remember when I first read that, I was like, "Wow, this is really intense."
Yeah, and just look at the inter-issue continuity here is that Monica, Captain Marvel, stays green.
Yes.
The rest of this
For the rest
issue,
of
right?
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also worthy of note because everybody was really firing on all cylinders here. Even the colorist was great on this.
Yep.
Right.
Tom Smith. Yeah.
Yep.
And even the letter of Richard Starkey was like everybody was just doing their best work here. Because even the letters, you had Krona's dialogue bubble be this weird purple color, which I can't think of another character that has a purple dialogue box like that.
Yeah, and I don't.
That was a nice little touch.
I don't know if this was. I'm pretty sure this was around the early beginnings of digital lettering, so you could do some, a lot of stuff. But I don't know if this was digitally lettered or not. I think it might not have been because it might have been a little too early, but I'm not sure. But the letterer still, Richard Starking's knocked this out. I mean, look at you've got different speech bubbles for different. I mean, look, Galactus's are different from Krona's versus Superman's or Vision's
and the Grandmasters and
I mean it all.
And just looking at once again, shout out to George Perez. Probably why he needed more time. He penciled and inked this whole thing.
Yes, yeah, that's incredible. Because at least when he did Crisis on Infinite Earths, he had Jerry Ordway.
Yeah,
help him with the artist. So I can't imagine. But he must have worked on this for a whole year, just doing the pencils and inks by himself. He had to.
So I mean, think about it. I mean, this was 2003, 2004. He had been in the business since what, like the 70s,
mid to late 70s, I think. Yeah.
So at this point, he'd probably already
75.
Yeah, at this point, he'd probably already been doing this 20-some, 30 years, and it's like I don't think the man missed a beat.
Yeah. So I know he did some smaller work after this, but this is kind of his last big work at Marvel and DC, right? Because he's so associated with so many Marvel and DC characters.
Probably the biggest, probably one of the biggest last things he did.
Yeah, because didn't he do a brief Superman run at one point in the New 52?
I think he was.
Yes. I think.
Or did he just write that?
Yeah, I think when New 52 started, he was on Superman for a little bit. Yeah, like the main Superman.
But it wasn't for very long. Wasn't it only for?
I don't think, but I think he might have been writing and drawing it too. I can't remember. Let me look at this. But yeah, I thought
that's the last time I remember him doing like regular monthly stuff. Although I could be wrong.
And he retired, I think, not too long after that. And then it was, of course, a couple of years ago with the diagnosis.
Yeah, because I think it was I think it was right before the diagnosis, like when the Arrowverse did their Crisis on Infinite Earths, and like on the last part, like Marv Wolfman made like a cameo. I was like, "Where's George Perez?" And then like we found out, I was like, "Oh, George is sick." Okay.
Yeah. And then didn't he work? I think he did some work for CrossGen, like after this. Maybe was CrossGen. I'm trying to remember where CrossGen was because you had Mark Waid working for them. You had lots of writers and artists working for CrossGen. I don't know what it may have been. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. So I'll have to look it up somewhere. But I mean, he's worked for so many different companies. He's self-published, some of his own work.
Right.
So yeah, he lived and breathed comics for a very long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, you'd have to just to do the amount he did.
Yeah, I can't imagine another artist doing this and having the same degree of success. I mean, Phil Jimenez is a good choice too. Definitely, and I love his artwork as well. But it would have been different. It would have been a different feel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I feel like coming out of the 70s and in the 80s, you know, he's very influenced by the storytelling of that time, which was to pack the page as full of information as possible, which, you know, splash pages are used as splash pages should be, for effect, not every other page, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you know, we've got a 9-panel page here. We've got 8-panel page here. There's a lot more density of storytelling, I think, that's part of his DNA that is maybe not as not as much in the DNA of artists working today. You know, and it of course it's going to vary from artist to artist, but there's so much story on each page, you know, that it's just impressive that he did it and he continued doing it, you know, for decades, which is just pretty awesome.
It's amazing.
I was trying to look up his bibliography, but of course I'm scrolling. I mean, I mean the list is just like DC, Marvel, and it's like interiors, the ones he only did covers for. And it's
well, okay. Well, I mean, let's just do a quick capsule summary from memory here. So he kind of came to prominence, you know, working at Marvel, and you know he did a run on the Avengers. You know, so he was kind of the it guy for a while. He got stolen by DC, and then he and Marv Wolfman did this little thing called the New Teen Titans, which was seismic in the early 80s. It outsold everything else, right?
And basically took a young sidekick named Dick Grayson and, yeah.
And then after that was this little thing called Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? You know, and then he would come back to Titans, and I think it was relaunched New Titans at that point.
New Titans.
Yeah. And then he was also writing and drawing Wonder Woman.
Yeah, after
the
Crisis,
Wonder Woman,
one of the very best.
Yeah, he did that for 50 plus issues, 60 plus. I can't remember exactly how many.
That's a long one. Yeah.
And then I'm not sure exactly what comes next, but I think probably the biggest thing that comes next was this little story about this jewelry collector in the Marvel Universe named Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
He was the artist on Infinity Gauntlet for the first, is it 2 or 3 issues? I can never remember. I know Ron Lim took over after, but you know he started.
First 3 issues, and the fourth one was with Ron Lim. Yeah.
Which is, you know, that's another one of those gigantic series that spawned many things later on.
Huge.
Plus,
and then after Infinity Gauntlet, I'm trying to think, you know, what. I think he kind of did more independent stuff at that point for a while.
Yeah, it looks like he did a few things, but then it's saying in 95 and 96 he did have a run from 111 to 123 on Silver Surfer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is he the writer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is writer here, but yeah.
I missed that one.
I did too. I'll have to go back and look that up.
But no, I'm looking through his list. I mean, you would be hard-pressed to find a character he didn't pencil or write or both. But no, at the same time he was doing that Wonder Woman reboot, you know, right after Crisis. I mean, he was doing some art on Action Comics and Adventures of Superman. And there was even like an issue or two here. It says like he did the inks over Dan Jurgens at one point. So, I mean, he was...
Oh, yeah. He was inking Dan Jurgens on the Teen Titans book with the new different Teen Titans that were led by a Teen Atom, right? I can never remember.
Oh, yeah.
90s
I think so.
Titans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Argent was one of them?
Yes.
Okay. He also, if I remember correctly, he inked Kurt Swan on
the first part of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow from Superman 423. I'm looking right at it. Yes.
Which is a great. I mean, that's a really kind of, you know, Kurt Swan is the Silver Age artist, right? I mean, Kurt Swan is the Superman artist, right, and the Silver Age Superman artist. And then to have, you know, one of the new young kids at the time, George Perez, ink him as it transitioned into, you know, the John Byrne Man of Steel and the new post-crisis Superman is really kind of a cool thing.
And he also did, I know you covered this with Russell, Justin, Hulk Future Imperfect.
Yes.
Oh, I completely forgotten about that. That was a big book, too, at the time.
So good. Yeah. Love that one.
And so much history that he puts so many Easter eggs in that book, just like he does this one. Yeah.
Yeah, tiny little details. That some of them you don't even get on the first or second reading. Like picking them up later on. I love it.
And a nice healthy run on Fantastic Four from 1975 to 1980.
Oh yeah, that was Roy Thomas writing that, I believe, right?
Was that Roy?
I don't remember.
Maybe
That may have been Roy.
Yeah. He also did Ultra Force for Malibu.
Oh yeah,
during the Ultraverse. I was a big fan of the Ultraverse, and the Ultra Force was kind of like the Justice League or the Avengers of the Ultraverse.
Yeah. I think there was a crossover book with the Avengers.
Yes, Black Knight and Circe.
Yeah, Warren Ellis, I think, wrote that with Perez doing the art, I believe.
Yeah, they had Black Knight and Circe come through and join that team. I think right around that time, and then they did that crossover. And I love the Ultraverse. That was one of my favorites.
And of course, Infinite Crisis 1 through 7.
Infinite Crisis.
By that point, you think once DC started doing like crises almost every year, where they just like, was George Perez's name just at the top of the list? They're like, yeah, we need George.
Time for another crisis. Let's call George.
Yep, call George. Well, then it goes Infinite Crisis, then Final Crisis, right?
Final Crisis.
Yeah.
Okay. I always get those confused. I need to go back and reread them.
"Quote unquote" Final Crisis.
I was going to say yes, Infinite and not so Final Crisis. Yes.
Yeah.
This time we really mean it in quotation.
Yeah.
In parentheses.
It's Grant Morrison. What do you want?
Yes.
But yeah, there's just a list of all the interiors he did, and then just the books he did covers only on and stuff. Oh, yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Quite a body of work to leave behind.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, a JLA.
This is one of the best.
I was gonna say a JLA Avengers would be enough for anyone's resume, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. So, favorite moment from the first two issues, Justin. What do you think? What's your favorite one?
I think my favorite moment is the fight in the shadow, the Savage Land at the end.
Gotcha.
I love the tension in that, just how the stakes were so high, and you could tell they were really ramping up the suspense for what was going to happen next. And just the fact that it took a turn that I was surprised by, several turns that I was surprised by when I was reading it the first time, that stuck with me after the fact, kind of cemented that as being, okay, I love this. And when I think about this story, that's one of the moments I think about, is that big fight in the Savage Land.
All right. Phil?
I'm going to cheat because it was kind of more than one moment, but just the epic Thor Superman fights.
Gotcha.
Especially like that. I said that one splash page where you just see Superman getting laid out by that hammer.
Yeah. And all the lightning bolts crackling around. Yeah, it's fantastic.
All right, Will, what was your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite one?
It's not the page where Quasar shows up, although I do love that page, okay? It's really hard. I really like the interactions between Cap and Batman. I mean, the fight itself, but them realizing and being tactical and strategic enough to realize that I've dealt with him. There's always something else going on, and I've dealt with him, and there's always something else going on. So I bet there's something else going on, right? I mean, and then where Ben Grimm shows up, I love that one.
Yes.
I mean, even though he's technically barely an Avenger, I really like that little that scene. I think that works really well.
Oh yeah, because then you see Reed on the screen, and because him and Sue were Avengers for all 5 minutes.
Yes.
Also. Yeah.
For what, 5 issues? Yeah.
Those were dark times for the Avengers.
That was the weirdest Avengers lineup, I think, in history.
Yeah, my
Dr. Druid.
Sorry. So much of what I love about the Avengers comes from me reading them as I was growing up with Roger Stern, because he was on that book for like 6 years, I think, close to it, almost 6 years. So,
like that, yeah.
I went from being, not even a teenager, to an older teen reading Roger Stern's, Avengers, which I love Kurt Busiek and George Perez's Avengers, but the Stern Avengers are my Avengers. Those are the ones that
Yeah, those are classic. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And it was a bummer, kind of how they unraveled that whole lineup.
Oh yeah.
The issues to follow. Me and Phil were talking about that. It was like Namor finally finds the love of his life. He's finally gotten over the loss of Lady Dorma, and he's finally gotten over all this. And then Marina eats some caviar.
Turns into a monster. Yes.
And it's really kind of I'm conflicted about it because Stern's editor at the time was Mark Grunwald on the Avengers.
Right.
And Phil and I, if you know anything, you know Phil and I, we worship at the Grunwald, altar here because of his Quasar work,
Captain America,
Captain America alone for me, but
and then the fact that Stern had been building up, Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel to lead the Avengers, and then Grunwald axed that at the last minute, which is why Stern left the book. At least that's what I've read. I think that's what I think that was the reason that he left the book. And then after he leaves, all those long-standing plots just kind of go sideways, and Marina turns into a monster after eating some snails, right?
Yeah. And then just the whole Thor takes off at the end of that whole thing, and then it's like, oh, Captain America, you're putting a team back together? Oh, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, an issue later. Yeah.
And then there's a guy on the Avengers, post 300, but I can never remember his name.
Oh, you forgot him? Okay. Gilgamesh, the Forgotten One? Okay.
The Forgotten One, yeah, sorry. It was obvious I had to take it, man. I had to take it.
Well done, Will. I like that.
That was a weird team. It's like, okay, two kind of like godlike figures, Reed and Sue, Captain America.
See, I liked Gilgamesh. Like, I felt like Gilgamesh could have worked in another lineup without Thor or without Hercules or without anybody like that. Like, him feeling kind of like the god role of the team, I think would have been cool under a different lineup.
Yeah, and it was weird because, we got that lineup for a little while. Walter Simonson came on and he was building up, this cross-time thing that he basically just ported over
the Fantastic Four,
which was awesome. I love that story. But then, Avengers get rebooted again after Acts of Vengeance into becoming, the United Nations thing. And then that lasts for a little while. Then that goes away. And then it's this weird, there's so much that happens between that and 400, that have to do with, Cersei and the Black Knight and the Gatherers and all those things.
They kind of went with the formula that Justice League was going with around that time, where it's like, nobody on the team is like an A-lister with their own book. So it's, it gets kind of...
But Phil, the important thing is they had jackets.
Yes!
They did.
Yes!
They all had matching jackets.
Damn it, Cersei did not wear pants, but she had a jacket. But no, it gets even weirder. Pre-Acts of Vengeance, remember, they brought in John Byrne for a little bit, and he was like trying to make
writer,
it... Yeah, he was basically trying to make it where it's like, oh yeah, the Avengers and the West Coast Avengers are like one big team, so people can go back and forth between books, but then he was out not too long after he decimates the Vision.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on.
Avengers post Galactic Storm. Avengers gets kind of weird. There's not these great. I mean, there's the Gatherer storyline, which I'm not a huge fan of for a variety of reasons.
Nobody was except for Ray.
Yeah,
I actually like a good chunk of that one. Yeah,
they turned the Wasp into a literal wasp.
Yeah, towards the end there.
Oh well, that was after
that
was the crossing
towards the end there. Yeah,
crossing. That's what I was thinking of. Not
the crossing, you say?
I mean, that was, and then at this point, Iron Man gets rebooted as a teenager. I mean, it's
Mantis is supposedly turned villainous and married Kang and had some kids with Kang. Yeah.
Oh wait, Kang Dynasty. There we go. We got the. We're gonna get the algorithm.
Yes, Kang Dynasty.
I know you need no excuse, but take a drink, Lilith. Yes, the history of the Avengers in the 90s.
I feel like the Justice League's history, by comparison, is a little less turbulent Like there's been a lot less of lineup shakeups and dissolutions and reformations, comparatively speaking.
Well, a lot of people will immediately say Detroit League.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
that's the biggest example. But besides that,
Yeah. Well, it was very much a lauded book, and it was written by a great writer, J.M. DeMatteis. But the blah-ha-ha era of the League is something that I feel like DC kind of, it's very well written. The art's great. You have Kevin McGuire in the art. But the tone of it is, so comedic that they kind of sweep it under the rug to the more Morrison-esque, type of grand adventure / action, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But then, there's that period where it's like, after J.M. DeMatteis leaves, the regular Justice League book goes to Dan Jurgens, and then does Justice League Europe, we get He Who Will Not Be Named. Yeah. So
and that's actually, there is a huge chunk of DC Comics from that era that will never be reprinted. I mean, he wrote so many issues. I mean, and we see it in Wonder Man, for Marvel. Mm-hmm. Wonder Man's probably not ever going to be collected, unfortunately.
Or like Green Lantern, like we did on the podcast. Yeah. I mean the volume, that volume that started in 1990, the app doesn't pick up to issue 48 because he wrote the first 47 issues of that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 47 issues. It's The tragedy about that, I know we've talked about it before, is that the artist, the art was
exactly the rest of the team. Mm-hmm.
The stories were good. I mean, it's a shame.
Nobody else can get credit, with reprints or royalties.
There will always be these gaps in the history. Like there will be people whose collections will never be complete because maybe the only way that they can get these issues is in an omnibus or a collection form.
Exactly.
That may never happen. So.
And even if they just want to read them for the character or for the crossover or for the stories, they can't get them on the digital platforms either. I mean, and I feel like I don't have a better solution, but it feels a little like throwing the baby out with the bathwater because the writer is not the only person responsible for that book.
Exactly.
I mean, we talked when we talked Wonder Man, with Jeff Johnson, which was a lot of fun. He did a lot of work on that book. I mean, he talked about drawing that poster. That was, here's a movie poster. Here's a movie poster. And, and people aren't going to get to see all of the, blood, sweat, tears, and love that he put into that book. And the inker, or the inkers, and the, the letterers, and the colorists, and everybody, and the editors that worked on that book, all because of the writer.
Again, I get it. I mean, you don't want to be paying monthly royalties to a person who pulled a heinous crime like that, but... Yeah, you're right. Everyone else gets that on that team. Oh, hello, Russell. One of George Perez's masterworks. What, JLA Avengers?
Yeah, yes. Definitely.
I was going to say, got to be more specific. The man has a vast body of work.
But this in particular is right up there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even like the simplest of pages he made, like magic. Like I remember, I think it was right after he passed away, people were putting up their favorite Perez art, and it was like one of his pages from his original Avengers run where like, Captain America and Carol Danvers are walking outside in the snow, and then one of the kids are about to throw a snowball on Captain America without looking, just whips that shield and like hits the snowball. The kids are like, oh crap, let's get out of here.
Well, and then there's the super iconic scene. Is it from Avengers 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there? Ultron, we would have words with
Yes,
him.
Thor,
yes.
A shirtless Thor, because he's been in a huge battle with robots. He's like, yes, we would have words with thee, yes.
That is definitely a crowning moment of awesome.
Oh, Russell says he never even read this, but the art he's seen, he's admired for years. Oh,
nice.
Russell, there are so many Marvel and DC Easter eggs in this thing. Oh.
Yeah, you'll love it. Yeah.
And stay tuned because we're about to do part 2 on Sector 214, the Green Lantern. Hell, we only did half of this so far, guys. All right, so should we adjourn here and pick up on Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast?
Sounds like a good plan.
On YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, they should go up around the same time. If you're listening to us on the podcast, yes, tomorrow, go to Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, Sector 2814, The Green Lantern Podcast, episode 111, where we'll do part 2. All right. So, yes, send your thoughts on these. Justin, so do we reveal what we're doing next? For all of April is a big April Fool's. I don't know if it's on the listeners or us.
I think that we should, because we mentioned it earlier. I think we should spill the beans.
Once again, Will, I'm punishing myself. All of April as a huge April Fool's joke. Like I said, I don't know if it's on them or us. Justin and I are going to do Avengers The Crossing.
Oh, wow. I am so sorry.
The entire thing! Avengers, Iron Man, all of it. Force Works.
Everything. I think it was my idea.
This is one of the ones Lilith will not touch, and this is when she says Justin does the Lord's work because she doesn't have to do it.
Well, usually I can find like the silver lining and everything, and I can find the good and the bad comics.
Oh, sometimes
even the Crossing.
Oh yeah, sometimes I could. I just love crapping on stuff. You know, the Crossing's toilet paper. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So it'll be fun for me to let loose on one that I know is truly deserving of some scorn.
I actually have the Crossing Omnibus back there.
Oh no!
It was.
Why would you admit that?
It was on sale, okay? And I was like, Avengers. I've never read it.
What did you think after you read it?
I haven't yet, so.
Remember in Avengers.
Bump down the list, okay?
So good. Remember in Avengers Forever, they retconned pretty much that whole thing. You know.
It was a space phantom the whole time.
Right. A bunch of them. Oh yeah, and then there's like I think in Heroes Return when the first Avengers annual, they did like some of those backups where they showed how stuff had changed since they came back, and Tony Stark's basically like, you have memories of my old self, Teen Iron Man, all the Heroes Reborn Iron Man. He's like, basically the other ones are fading. He's like, but basically they're like, yeah, we just slammed all 3 Iron Men together. It's it all happened to one guy.
Just one guy.
Teen Iron Man. All right. So yes, kids. So if you dare be brave enough, send us thoughts on Avengers: The Crossing and all in April.
A month-long extravaganza, Marvel Tales.
At least it's only a month. At least it's only a month and not a year-long superhero movie brackets.
That's true. I don't think I could have handled The Crossing for a year. That would have put me in the grave.
That was, yes, you're a stronger man than me, Phil. That
strong, insane, whatever.
That was hard, just the one episode that I was on talking about Green Lantern the movie and Catwoman.
Oh.
Oh man, I'm partway through the year. I'm like, Lilith, why don't we finish? She's like, no. Even though she's complaining about it, she's like, no, we got to finish it. I'm like, Still up on the Capes and Lunatics Patreon, kids. So yeah, go subscribe. Join the Patreon elite like Justin over there. Justin and Russell. And Australia's answer to podcasting, Ray. All right. So yeah, send your thoughts on JLA Avengers. Again, join us for part 2 over on Sector 2814, The Green Lantern Podcast. Send your thoughts on Avengers: The Crossing. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, all your Capes and Lunatics one-stop shopping now. Episodes, social media, merchandise, pretty much anything we can squeeze on there. Go to tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. All right. Justin, I'm going to let you go first because I think you have less plugs than Will, because Will does everything. So, which is hard to believe, but.
Well, besides every week on Marvel Tales, you can also find me once a month with Phil over at We Are the Night, the Batman podcast, where we're currently talking about Night Quest, The Crusade, and The Search.
Another one that Lil thanks you for doing, so she doesn't have to do.
She won't touch those ones either. Yeah. But I love me some Azrael. Also, you can find me twice a month over at Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is, where Russell and I talk about everything to do with the Hulk and the She-Hulk. And also, Tomes of Evil, a comic book supervillain podcast, is kind of in its last days, but we're doing a handful more episodes before we finish it up for a while. And last but certainly not least, you can find us with the High Priest of Khonshu, Ray, over at Predator and Prey, a Yocha podcast, where we talk about everything to do with the Predator, including comic books, films, action figures, and more.
I'm a sucker for a guy with a powerful rod. Scream at!
My favorite biscuit.
And Lilith's favorite.
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Gotta get that one in there.
All right, Mr. Will Allred, master of the core, master of the Quantum Zone, master of the Kickstarter comics. Where can people find you and everything you do?
Well, I hang out with a certain Phil at Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast, every week. And in fact, we'll be jumping over there together in just a few moments. I also write comics. I've got the current Kickstarter comic that we've done is Crossover Division number 4, which has been completely sent out. I still have people that need to fill out surveys, but I've sent out everything I can, so I'm happy about that. If you want to check out more about Crossover Division, you can do that at crossoverdivision.com. I also write a book called Diary of Night. You can check that out at diaryofnight.com. And I annoy other podcasting hosts besides Phil on a weekly basis. That would be Kevin Joseph, writer of Tart. We do a podcast called Explain Yourself every Friday night at 11 Eastern Time, where we bring on Kickstarter comic creators and talk about their projects that are running and try to get more eyeballs on them. It's a great way to build up the community, so we enjoy doing that. And finally, obviously you have great taste because you're here watching and or listening to us. That means you must also love Quasar, and who doesn't? Therefore, if you want to find out more about Quasar, you can go to the Quantum Zone at quantumzone.org.
I, of course, love Hal Jordan.
That too.
I am God. Seems like I'm getting a package every other day. Hey, boys, you look at the party? I love the party.
That's an issue of Quasar.
Those Quasar live reads, man, they were a treasure trove. And speaking of, stay tuned.
If you want to go, if you want to punish yourself, just go read Star Blast.
Oh, yes, Star Blast. Yes, I remember that.
Which gave us such dialogue as...
They aren't even attempting to enter our orifices.
I see you.
Believe that made it through a Marvel filter.
We see you, Tom DeFalco.
That's right up there with The Crossing.
Oh yeah. Oh, Star Blast. They just gave up on numbering. It was like part. I don't know. Are you still paying attention?
Part
10, and then part 10, and then we're gonna go. Let's do part X. Yeah, let's do X. Okay, and then
we'll switch to Roman numerals now.
32. I don't care. Yeah.
Part 32 of a 10-part series. Yeah. That's the ticket. All right. Oh yes, and stay tuned, kids, for a new episode of the Quantum Zone coming. End of yes, for your March episode of it'll hit Patreon first, but yes, new episode of Quantum Zone, and we're even bringing Matt Cohn out of retirement for it. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for joining us again. Get part 2 of JLA Avengers over on Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast on Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks. Someone go wake up Lilith Hellfire. Come on. Said she might lurk.
I thought she was sending in feedback.
It was either feedback or she was going to lurk, and she's done neither,
okay.
So. Okay. All right. And remember, Avengers The Crossing starts next episode. You have been warned. Excelsior.
Get your shots on hand. It'll be drinking games.